Let me read to you a passage from the 17th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 22 to 27. It's the Gospel for Monday of the 19th week in Ordinary Time. St. Matthew writes, "As Jesus and his disciples were gathering in Galilee, Jesus said to them, 'The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him, and he will be raised on the third day.' And they were overwhelmed with grief. When they came to Capernaum, the collectors of the temple tax approached Peter and said, 'Does not your teacher pay the temple tax?' 'Yes,' he said. When he came into the house, before he had time to speak, Jesus asked him, 'What is your opinion, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth take tolls or census tax? From their subjects or from foreigners? Which?' When he said, 'From foreigners,' Jesus said to him, 'Then the subjects are exempt. But that we may not offend them, go to the sea, drop in a hook, and take the first fish that comes up. Open its mouth, and you will find a coin worth twice the temple tax. Give that to them from me and for you.'" That's from Matthew chapter 17, verses 22 to 27. Our Lord refers to the sons of the King. Our Gospel text would seem to consist of two distinct events, perhaps unconnected in a formal sense. There is our Lord's prophecy of his passion, death and resurrection, and there is the incident concerning the temple tax. On an earlier occasion at Caesarea Philippi, Matthew chapter 16 verse 13, our Lord told his disciples that he was destined to go to Jerusalem, to suffer grievously, to be put to death, and on the third day to rise again. That first prophecy came after Peter's magnificent profession of faith in Jesus as the Messiah and the Son of God. Christ signalled his building of his church and his appointment of Simon as its rock and as the holder of the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Matthew chapter 16 verse 13 to 20. He then went on to make his first prophecy of the Passion. Matthew chapter 16 verse 21 to 23. The second prophecy of the Passion, death and resurrection is said by Matthew to have occurred one day when they were together in Galilee. Matthew chapter 17 verse 21. He places it in his text after the transfiguration and his healing of the epileptic demoniac. Matthew chapter 17 verse 1 to 20. The first prophecy evoked protests from Simon Peter. The second one caused a great sadness among his disciples. Matthew chapter 17 verse 23. But then we are told of a distinct event, a distinct incident. It happened, we read, when they reached Capernaum. Matthew chapter 17 verse 24. The collectors of the half-shekel tax for the upkeep of the temple approached Peter and asked if his master paid the tax. Peter answered without any hesitation that he certainly did, indicating to us that Jesus Christ was a dutiful member of the people of God, doing all that was recommended and expected. He paid the temple tax, and we must presume, of course, that he paid the civil tax to the Roman authorities. He would have done these things as he was growing up, as would Joseph, his foster father. He rendered to Caesar what belonged to Caesar. Christ instilled a due obedience to civil authority. We see in both St. Paul and in 1 Peter, first letter of St. Peter, the directive to obey civil authorities. In the first letter of St. Peter directs his readers, and I quote, "for the sake of the Lord, to accept the authority of every social institution, the emperor as the supreme authority, and the governors." First letter of St. Peter, chapter 2, verse 13 to 14. But what is the meaning of our scene today? Yes, Peter replies to the temple official, his master does pay the temple tax, and went into the house to speak to our Lord about it. Before he could raise the matter, our Lord raised it with him. Perhaps our Lord had seen the conversation going on outside, or it could have been one of the many instances in the Gospels of his divine prescience, his divine foreknowledge. Yes, we pay our taxes, Simon, but I ask you, do sons and daughters pay such things? No. Now we are sons of the kingdom. Our Lord is using the occasion to stress the unique dignity of his own self and the kingdom of which he was king. Our Lord is turning the incident into a kind of parable or sign of something far greater, which, though, is immersed in the things of this world. As Messiah and King of the kingdom of heaven, his dignity transcends those who have, say, the privilege of not paying a tax. We have a further point being made by our Lord here. Not only is he the Son in his Father's kingdom, but he stresses here his unity with Simon Peter. Christ will share his dignity with Simon. Jesus said to him, we read, then the subjects are exempt, but that we may not offend them, go to the sea, drop in a hook, and take the first fish that comes up. Open its mouth, and you will find a coin worth twice the temple tax. Give that to them for me and for you. Matthew chapter 17, verse 22 to 27. Christ shares his lot with Simon. He has called Simon to a special friendship with him and to a sharing in his mission. In the earlier occasion of Simon's profession of faith, our Lord signalled his sharing of privileges with Simon Peter. Here he also refers in a kind of allegory to his sharing of life and privileges with Simon Peter, and through him with all of us. We are all sons of the King. Our dignity as members of Jesus Christ surpasses that of the children of this world, who may or may not have temporal privileges and exemptions. As St. Peter writes, you are slaves of no one except God, so behave like free men. First letter of St. Peter, chapter 2, verse 16. But with Jesus Christ we are immersed in the world so as to save it in union with him. Let us place ourselves in this simple gospel scene. On the one hand, we have our Lord's solemn prediction of his passion, death and resurrection. On the other hand, we have this simple incident of the temple tax. Our Lord refers to the altogether special dignity of those who belong to the kingdom of heaven, those who by their faith and by baptism are in him who is the Son. Simon Peter enjoys a special communion with Jesus Christ and a special office to act in his name, but he is also our representative in that, like him, we are blessed with a special dignity of being sons and daughters of the Father, sharing in the life of Jesus Christ. Let us live this to the full then.